In this edition, Jody Malin takes a look at small changes you can do to make the world a cleaner place.
And Haley Avashik explains how tattoos have become a more accepted art form in the workplace and why the ink is here to stay.
Also, William McClary visits Albuquerque's famous Old Town and checks out its haunted history. I'm Kemi Turpin.
And I'm Janae Herrera. Campus Report starts right now.
Local coverage. Student perspectives. At the University of New Mexico. From the KNME studios, this is Campus Report.
As most people know, recycling reuses materials and keeps unnecessary waste out of our landfills. But what you may not know is there are several other things you can do to help reclaim products and energy. As Jody Malin reports, a small change to daily life can make a huge difference.
Walmart recently put out an advertisement with pages full of products that would help make the world better. Some of these products were t-shirts made of recycled bottles and light bulbs that use less energy. Besides recycling and buying recycled products, there are many other easy things people can do to help reduce waste and help the earth. Lisa Arnold is starting her first garden this spring. She has a few reasons why she wants to grow her own food.
There's a couple reasons for growing food locally. One of the primary reasons is to reduce the carbon emissions. So if you think about it, if you're getting oranges from Florida and you live in New Mexico, the truck getting them to you has to travel a long way and produces a lot of carbon emissions. Or another example would be is if you're getting your coffee from Colombia and it's coming to New Mexico. It obviously has to come a long ways on a jet plane, which also causes a lot of carbon emissions.
Arnold has a few tips on how to get a garden started.
Well, to prepare the garden bed, especially here in where I'm located, the soil needs a lot of amendment. So the first thing to do, unfortunately, is dig out to 18 inches so you can loosen up the soils. Right now, the bed that I have was mainly sand before I started, and so I've been adding composted steer manure to increase the loaminess of the soil to retain water better, and turning the soil will increase the aeration of the soil so that the plants have a better soil bed to grow in.
Katie Lee has purchased items that are more efficient to do what she can to help the environment.
And one of the reasons that I decided to purchase a hybrid is because of the good gas mileage. I get anywhere from 42 to 38 miles to the gallon all around town. But also just it has lower emissions, and so it should be more earth-friendly.
Lee also purchased a low-flowing washing machine and received a $100 credit on her water bill from the city. She also dries her clothes on a rack or outside to save energy. Lee recently started a compost pile to help eliminate some of her everyday trash.
I decided to start a compost pile because I wanted to find a way to put some of the trash that I was already generating in a normal household to use. And any given day or any given week, there'll be leftover onions or banana peels that can be useful in a garden. So as well as using kitchen scraps, I can also find a place for some of the leaves from a tree and put it all together. And with time and some microbial growth and a little bit of water, I'm going to have some amendments that I can use to add to soils for gardening or flower beds and other locations around the house. So the compost that I'm creating isn't necessarily any different than other compost you might purchase, but it keeps more garden scraps and other debris from my garden out of the landfill. So rather than taking up space in a landfill with leaves or kitchen trash, I'm able to reintegrate that in my own garden.
In 2007, Sydney, Australia had over 2.2 million residents and 2,100 businesses turn off their lights for 1 hour. The 1 hour lights out led to a 10.2% energy reduction across the city. Over 24 global cities participated in 2008. The countdown has already begun for Earth Hour 2009. Whether it's growing a garden, driving a hybrid vehicle, turning out the lights, or putting waste to good use, small changes to everyday life can have a big impact on the Earth and its future. This is Jody Malin reporting.
And today in the studio, we're talking with Jody Malin. Thank you so much for joining us today, and how appropriate on Earth Day. Well, so you've talked about a lot of these changes that the environment's going through now, but what are the physical changes that somebody can do in their own personal life that can help the environment?
Everyone knows about recycling or, buying products that are made out of recycled products, but there's some other easy things to do, such as thinking about like gardening and, creating a compost pile. As far as gardening is concerned, I spoke to Lisa Arnold, and the reason that she decided to garden was not only for the organic aspects of it, but also because, when you get produce and different products from many different places, they have to drive in or come in on ships or planes, and that takes up a lot of fuel or emissions, and so she's trying to cut back on that. And also, as far as compost piles are concerned, it just reduces trash or waste that also goes in the landfills.
So what are some of the things that businesses are doing to adapt to this?
It seems like businesses are just, trying to promote, green or awareness as far as recycled products are concerned. I saw a lot of different ads in the Sunday paper, with whole sections on green or all the products that they sell that are either recycled or shipped with, less packaging to also reduce waste.
So what would you say are some of the trends that are happening right now in maybe, future technology or what people are doing?
Some of the few trends or big trends right now are, hybrid vehicles, that basically get, either run off of battery or take a lot less gas. And then also, energy efficient, washers and dryers and different appliances that use less energy and less water to also conserve, just things like that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and we appreciate you talking to us. There's a growing trend among the young adults of America, and what was once the rebellious thing to do has become the most popular thing to do. Haley Iveshek takes a look at the rising number of young adults getting tattoos.
In 1936, Time magazine reported 6% of American adults had a tattoo. In 2003, the Harris Research Center reported 16% had a tattoo. Our poll of 100 UNM students showed over 50% had one or more tattoos. Dr. Lauren Chavez is the primary physician at Clearwaves of Albuquerque. One of the services they offer there is tattoo laser removal, which she says has increased in demand over the years.
We probably see about 15 a day for tattoo removal. A lot of people remove it because it's an old girlfriend's name. Some people move it for work. If they have a visible tattoo, their work doesn't want it. And other people, it was cool 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and it's just not so cool anymore.
The Harris poll shows that only 2% of people aged 18 to 25 regret their tattoo because it interfered with a career choice. Leo Matthews, the general manager of the Il Vicino restaurant, says the policy of the company has always been no visible tattoos.
Well, I think tattoos is one of those things where it's a matter of taste, of what is good taste. So what one person might find non-offensive, another person might find offensive.
Robert Wendell, a UNM student, has 8 tattoos.
Well, I don't think I'd want a job where they wouldn't accept me with my tattoos.
It's probably just
Matthews predicts more companies will begin changing their policies about tattoos as more potential employees have them.
I think eventually there's going to be a day where, tattoos will probably be more visible because they're just more and more popular.
Wendell, who has designed all his own tattoos, says he does see more people with tattoos these days, but thinks many people don't take getting a tattoo as something serious.
Tattoos are a commitment, and they're like a marriage, you're stuck with it forever, and you can't divorce them as easily as you would a spouse.
Reporting, this is Haley Vashek.
And today in the studio, we're talking with Haley Iveshek. Thank you, Haley, so much for joining us. So in your story, you talked about the Harris poll. Could you go into more detail of what this is?
The Harris poll is basically a study that a research center did, and this study was about tattoos and how the number's been going up over the years. Some more of the information was in there was most people with tattoos, in their perception, find that they're more intelligent and more sexy than people without tattoos.
Oh, wow.
And in general, the public without tattoos finds that people with tattoos are less intelligent and less sexy.
So you're talking about intelligence and, somebody who's going to go apply for a job, let's say, somebody, they might not want to hire them because they get that impression once they see their tattoo. So, what are some of the things that people are adapting to that kind of situation?
Well, I definitely mentioned in the story that I talked with Leo, the manager of Il Vicino, and he said that he's guessing the policy is going to change. I think a lot of companies, the policy is going to be changing because there's just more and more people with tattoos. It used to be no visible tattoos. A lot of companies are changing it to no facial tattoos, but they're allowing tattoos on the arm, tattoos on the leg.
So I think over the years it's probably going to be more and more people are going to have to start changing their policies rather than the employees changing for them.
And so do you have any advice or safety hazards as far as somebody who was thinking about getting a tattoo?
If people are thinking about getting a tattoo, it's definitely important to check out where you want to go. Make sure it's a reputable place, get a couple sources, and if you do end up getting a tattoo, make sure that they sterilize the needle and any equipment in front of you so you see that it's been sterilized.
Wow. Well, thank you, Haley, so much for talking to us.
Old Town Albuquerque beholds a rich history of landmarks and cultural appreciation. Between these two distinctions lies an unusual and extremely well-hidden string of urban legends. The ghost tours of Old Town provide awareness to those who dare to be opposed to superstitious secrets. William McClary bravely reports.
The combination of a great tour product and a historic area can be found in Old Town Albuquerque. If people can't wait for Halloween to get involved with some serious supernatural settings, the ghost tours of Old Town may just do the trick. The owner of the ghost tours, Julia Brown, says they are there to provide good family entertainment and explore the haunting history of Old Town.
Well, the ghost tour we've been running down here for about 7 years. Actually, for me, I went on the tour. I came on the tour one night and I thought it was interesting, and I got to know the owner of the business, and I actually ended up purchasing the ghost tour from them.
The 90-minute ghost tours cover 10 to 12 locations that include urban legends, myths, and folklore that are a part of Old Town's history. There are 3 different variations of the tours. The most popular one is the Magical Ghost Tour, where one tour guide and ghost investigator takes on the role of Milton J. Yarberry, Albuquerque's first town marshal to be indicted and hung for murder.
Old Town tends to be one of the most haunted spots in the Southwest, and we do have a lot of weird things happen on the tour. There are different spots in Old Town that different businesses now are located on old cemeteries. You know, with Albuquerque being founded in 1706, that means that for over 300 years people have lived and died around the plaza. And businesses have changed, and cemeteries have turned into parking lots and turned into businesses. And so with a 300-year history, that makes Albuquerque one of the oldest cities in the United States. And so there's a lot of history, legends, and lore, and a lot of creepy stuff has happened down here.
Tour guide Pat Ward believes people have a natural fear of the unknown. He says he's seen some strange things while giving the tour.
I've had people speak to the ghosts. I've seen plenty of that. What I haven't seen or heard is the ghost speaking back. Although on occasion we'll get someone who claims to be a psychic or a medium, and they'll give us impressions that they've received, I guess is the word. They'll tell us about their impressions. And in some cases, it's amazingly accurate to the story we're telling when they haven't heard the story yet.
Tour guides say that local residents often like to try impersonating ghosts to scare the tourists, although many tour guides and tourists say they have seen an image of a woman dressed in black who appears at the Lady of Guadalupe Chapel. Brown says there are a lot of misconceptions about the ghost tours, simply because people aren't sure what a ghost tour exactly is, and sometimes mistake it for evil.
When we do get church groups and things in, it's funny, they don't raise their hand much, except for they'll say, oh, well, we do believe in one ghost, you know, the Holy Ghost.
Every night at 8 p.m., the 75-minute ghost tours are held to help guide tourists through the haunted areas of Old Town. The target customer is a woman that ranges from age 25 to 40 years old. These 2 female tourists weren't exactly sure what they would get out of the tour.
I haven't heard much, so I don't really know what we're in for, but I'm sure it'll be fun. Not really scared.
I don't think we'll see anything, though.
I don't either. I don't think I really believe in it, but maybe I'll be proved wrong, so we'll see.
There are 14 ghost tour guides in Old Town. Tourists have the option of going on private or group tours. Guides prefer keeping the tour group to about 20 people. During Halloween and the Balloon Fiesta, guides allow larger groups on the tours. All the haunting stories that the guides share with the tourists are based upon real ghost investigations. In order for locations to qualify as stopping points along the tour, something had to have happened there. The guides say they don't try to convince people that ghosts exist. They just give them the facts and let them decide for themselves. Occasionally, tourists have captured a wide variety of unusual photographs. Orbs are the most common, which are little round balls of light. Believers say orbs are the spirits of the dead.
There are
Tour guide and ghost investigator Vince Montoya is starting up a group called Ghost Hunters of the 505. Montoya says Old Town is a good place for paranormal business.
Out of all the places that I investigated from New Mexico, Arizona, and California, this would have to place in the number 2 spot, Old Town itself.
Certified ghost hunters use a device called EVP, which stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon.
Around the area, many different responses were heard to the question, "Why are you here?"
A tourist couple from out of town say they enjoyed the stories that were provided on the ghost tour.
I don't know if I believed all of them. You know, I like the first one about the hooker was pretty good.
This is William McClary reporting at Old Town.
You know, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a Ghostbuster.
Really? Did you hear that the studio is haunted? What is that?
Well, I guess it's true. That wraps it up for Campus Report. I'm Kemi Turpin.
And I'm Janae Herrera. Have a great day, Lobos.